With all the hype that the remake for this game got, I decided that it would be nice to experience the original game for myself. Really, I wanted to see what made people praise the game so much. I have seen tons of people online said that there should have been more games in the franchise, and that the franchise was completely botched with Dead Space 3. I'm glad to say that this game lived up to the hype. Today, I want to take a look into my feelings on the game and see how good Dead Space really is. Dead Space was released in 2008 on October 18th. The game started off slowly in terms of sales, but eventually grew to over 1 million, which was pretty average for the time. I know that EA gets a bad rap, and deservedly so at times, but they really took a risk by greenlighting this game. Survival horror has been popular for a long time, with the genre originating in 1996 through the marketing of Resident Evil. But this game was a big deviation from the norm given how it was set in the future and is more of a sci-fi survival horror game. Most previous games in the genre tended to be set in the current time that they were made, but after the success of this one, more and more sci-fi survival horror titles were developed. Originally, Glenn Schofield, one of the creators, wanted to make the game set in a space prison, and funnily enough, he ended up getting his wish with Callisto Protocol. Dead Space is played in an over-the-shoulder, third-person view similar to Resident Evil 4 and 5. It does take a little bit of getting used to, and can feel a little clunky when playing with a mouse and keyboard. I ended up switching over to controller, and it felt a lot smoother overall. After getting a video message, we begin the game on a beautiful shot, slowly coming in on the Ishimura. The ship gets sucked into the Ishimura and crashes. There is a crew from your ship, but you only need to know 3 of them. Isaac, the main character who has 2 main goals: fix the Ishimura and find his girlfriend, Nicole. Isaac, according to the creators of the game, was meant to be more of an everyman sort of character who was thrown in over his head. The creators were inspired by Half-Life 2 and decided to make Isaac a silent protagonist. The other 2 who are important are Kendra, who will fill the guy in the chair type of role, and Hammond, the commanding officer of the flight. From the first minute, Kendra and Hammond are at each other's necks, which can be annoying. If my life is in danger, I don't want to hear my teammates whining at each other. At times, I just wanted to yell through the screen during their arguments. Moving to the positive, when Isaac activates the computer, the lights turn out, and we get introduced to the Necromorphs. All of the crew, except for Kendra and Hammond, die here. This moment is executed perfectly, and the music that starts to play is so well composed. It makes the encounters with these already terrifying beings that much more intense. You can truly feel Isaac's desperation and the danger that he is in. In my first encounter with the Necromorph, I was so focused on the fact that one had appeared behind me, I forgot how to run, which made the experience that much more scary to me. The soundtrack and overall ambiance of the game sell the fear that the writers are trying to instill. This game was specifically intended to make people walk away and think, that was the scariest game I have ever played. Most games I've played in the horror genre never really scared me, but the sudden appearances of the Necromorphs throughout the game genuinely freaked me out. When the captain of the ship got converted into a Necromorph and broke the glass, I remember the exact thought I had. Jesus Christ, I have to fight this thing? The sound design of the game is just immaculate. The sound of leaving zero gravity, just normal walking around, the Leviathan waking up. This game has so many moments made that much better by the sound that are going on. Speaking of the Leviathan, I love the foreshadowing of it through seeing holes in the wall. The boss fight with the Leviathan at the end of Chapter 6 is very frustrating at times, and the flamethrower was pretty useless against it. I wasn't conserving my ammo in the early game very well, and because of that, I ended up running out of ammo during the fight, and after dying, I had to run around the chapter area to loot and sell my flamethrower ammo. I attempted to kill the Leviathan time after time after time, and when I finally beat it, I was immensely satisfied. The Hunter's first appearance was done really well. From taking it down pretty easily and wondering what the big deal about it even was, then seeing it regenerate, wondering how I could even get away from it, and then being killed by it. The Hunter's kill animation was so awesome that when I died, I wasn't even mad because of how cool it looked. The fact that when Isaac is dead, the Hunter looks at the player adds so much to the Hunter, given that it's the only fourth wall breaking enemy in the game. The little things in this game are really cool, like the way Isaac's health bar slowly goes down when a kill animation is going on. They do a good job in this game of not holding your hand, but still giving reasonable hits, like the map. It's a good balance that I can get behind. They open the door, I, as the player, have to walk through it. I didn't even realize that I could loot these green boxes until Chapter 5. The level setup feels really fresh. I really enjoy the aspect of having a hub in each chapter. The store is normally in that area, and the store becomes very valuable given how the later on you get in the game, ammo becomes more and more scarce. It also gives you a chance to recoup and loot. You can also buy new weapons from the store like this flamethrower that I mentioned earlier, or the pulse rifle. Personally, I feel like the line cutter, the first weapon that you get, is probably the most useful the most often. You'll find ammo for it the most often, and it's the most precise out of all the weapons I used in cutting necromorphs' limbs off. The line cutter in some ways reminds me of the Magnum Combat Evolved. They're both small and seemingly inconsequential at first, but can be really helpful down the line. There is a bench that you can use to upgrade items, but I wasn't very interested in that. Honestly, it didn't seem necessary, and I think you can beat the whole game without upgrading anyway. I love the way the story of this game is presented. There are no cutscenes in the game, and other than Kendra or Hammond giving instructions, finding out more about what happened to the Ishimura is optional through these audio or text logs. And the way we learn more and more about the story in little pieces is done to the point where the more I heard, the more I wanted to learn. It's like receiving little hooks through each little bit of story that we get. The handful of human encounters that are in the game are really unsettling. Even when Nicole appears, it feels off. She seems like a normal person, a little too calm for my taste given all the circumstances. At first I thought she was a hallucination of some kind, but she can be hit by a necromorph, so I think she's real. As much as I have deservedly praised this game, nothing is perfect, and there are some things wrong with this game that I want to talk about. There is an annoying lack of credits at times, and maybe I just need to budget them better, but it gets really annoying having to scavenge around the ship, but the ship is cool enough that exploring it is fun, and I don't really mind it. This next criticism is a bit of a nitpick, and I know that I brought it up before, but Kendra and Hammond need to shut up. I know Kendra is wary about Hammond and his knowledge about the marker, but this isn't the time. We could die at any moment. Please focus on the task at hand. You can find out the answers you need once we get off the ship of death. It sucks because these people are perfectly fine when talking to Isaac alone, but as soon as the three of them are in a call or around each other, they forget that there are horrifying creatures roaming around and they have a mission and act like they're on the set of Marriage Story. Again, it's a nitpick, but it's still annoying. I know this is a little odd to say coming right on the tail of my criticism section, but if there is one thing that I would want somebody to take from this video, it's this. Go play this game. I have been pretty vague about the story because I want people to go experience it for themselves. Well, that, and the fact that, as of writing this, I've only played up to Chapter 8. Quite honestly, I'm not very good at video games. If you watch my main channel, I'm sure you're aware of this. Oftentimes, I will hit a rough patch in a game and just move on to a different game and come back later on. But this one was just so engrossing that I would hit a rough patch and just keep going. The only reason I even stopped playing is the fact that I wanted to make this video. As soon as I finish editing this video, I'm going to go finish the game. I'm really glad that the remake was made because without it, I probably would have never played the original. This game was really innovative for the time, and because of that, it still holds up to this day. I love when a game has love and care put into it, and you can feel said love and care through how both the creators talk about it and how good the game feels to play. So considering all of this, I'm going to answer the question of the title and say yes, Dead Space is that good.